Hi everyone, this is Ala Pivot reporting from TDF, and today we've got the immense pleasure of hosting a futsal pioneer and also current head coach of Tranmere Rovers Futsal Club, Damon Shaw. Damon, thanks for joining us on the podcast.
Good morning, Ala Pivot.
Cheers, thanks. How did you get into futsal, Damon?
So basically it started when I was back in 2003. Me and a few mates, I'd always played five side, as probably most of the population has. And we'd been away to uni all our group back after the first year in the summer. And instead of organising just random kickabouts, we decided to run this tournament. Just to make it a bit more fun, we told all our mates to get a team together. You know, just a good little reunion type thing. And me and my mates have never been ones to do things by half, so we promoted the tournament, we grew the tournament, so in the second year it became something a little bit bigger, teams from further afield. And in that sort of research, wanting to grow this tournament, something bigger, I came across this sport, futsal. Mm-hmm. And simply, I was looking into tournaments in Kazakhstan, in Italy, Spain. I was seeing the size of this game and thinking, why isn't this in England? So we grew this tournament into what, from a five-a-side tournament we've just made, to a futsal tournament. Looking back, it's not going to be a high-quality tournament, but it was a start, and that's what sort of got the bug for it, where I got the bug for futsal. We saw these tournaments abroad. I wanted to go and play and travel was something that really sort of attracted me. And that was in 2005. So the third tournament was a futsal, but like I said, it was a start. Mm-hmm. And that's when I went back to university. I was up at Teesside Uni, and I spoke to Students' Union and said, "Look, I'd love to set up a club, a futsal club at the university." And they said, they were well happy to support it, given the interest was there. Mm-hmm. And the university is quite good like that. If there's enough people interested in doing it, then they'll back it with whatever they can. So yeah, I contacted FIFA. I contacted the FA. The FA said to me, "Would you interested in running a local league?" So I did that at the futsal club, and that's where it all started. That the first set of trials we had at Teesside Uni, well attended. We had about 70 people turn up, and in that group we had Ben Morlock and Curtis Holmes, who came along. I think Ben had played futsal before in Grimsby, and obviously he came along and liked the idea of playing regularly, and then I think he brought along Bert, who was his friend. So from that first trial session, we had a couple of players that have gone on to really good things in futsal. Ben, recently England captain before he got injured. Mm-hmm. Kurt played a few times for England. I just got that bug of, I saw this sport that was neglected, underdeveloped in England, being so big in other countries. I thought, well, this needs someone to do something for the game, and I saw the opportunity to get to the top in futsal, get to somewhere high up, top the English game, top European game as well. So yeah, that was the attraction.
Good stuff. And a lot of people know Damon the coach, but not Damon the player. So why is it that you decided to take the coaching path rather than playing?
Yeah, that's because I'm not a player. I played football as a kid, just like most people did. I played for a local team, went to uni, played five-a-side with my mates, played seven-a-side leagues, a little bit of 11-a-side when I was older, but not much. When I started at the futsal club, I did start off playing. I put myself in the first team, as you do. I played 2 or 3 games for the club. I played the opening game against York. Then we went to a tournament in Czech Republic, and it was 6 months after we'd set the club up, not even that, and we came up against a professional team from Czech Republic, Hellas Brno. Mm-hmm. Another team I can't remember the name of, another Czech Republic team I think, and a team from Austria. And we came up against these teams barely not knowing what futsal was. And these guys are professional, and I played in the first couple of games there, but trying to coach the team at the same time as playing, I found it almost impossible. It was, it's quite common for football to have a player manager, but I discovered in futsal it's it's impossible. There's too much going on. And for the third game of that tournament, I took a step back, just to see what was going on in the game and try and coach a bit better, try and manage a bit better, and I enjoyed it, really enjoyed it. So from that point on, I never really played and coached the same team. So and I was not good enough either. I was never going to be good enough to play at the top level. So if I want to get to the top in something, then it's going to have to be as a coach manager.
Fair enough. I mean, was that perhaps the turning point where you saw these professional teams, you thought, oh, hold on a minute, there's a lot more to futsal than I previously thought, and I mean, I remember from my experience when I played internationally twice, and I saw teams from Croatia and teams from Spain. I thought, oh my God, I thought I knew what futsal was, but actually I don't know what futsal is, and that's really what made me fall in love with the sport. I mean, perhaps, did this tournament make you think, wow, there's endless possibilities on the court for futsal, and actually this is a lot better than I had originally thought? What was the experience like?
Yeah, it was a massive turning point. Seeing these, because Dynamo Moscow were in this tournament as well, and we were surprised how good they were. We were amazed at this team that were just they were so athletic. They were smashing teams. I think the year later we went back and they played York Uni, who came to that tournament as well, and I think it was 21-0, something like that.
Jesus.
That was the difference, and just something that I couldn't even imagine before I went to this tournament.
Yeah.
There was so much more to it, and yeah, that sort of really, it gave me the drive to create something like that in England.
Good. I mean, obviously, you've talked about creating the Teesside University Futsal Club. I mean, you also, I believe you're one of the founders of Middlesbrough Futsal Club as well, is that correct?
Yeah, so when I started Teesside Uni, it just seemed a natural progression to develop it into a town team, to get more support from the local community, to reach out to fans, to increase the sponsorship possibilities. So right from the start of Teesside Uni, Middlesbrough was always sort of on the horizon, and that started in 2006-2007. So yeah, it was just an extension of the uni club. It wasn't a totally separate club. It was almost just for a couple of years it was the same team. In some tournaments we played as Middlesbrough, some as Teesside Uni, depending on the type of tournament. Mm-hmm. Yeah, so Middlesbrough started from Teesside Uni with more or less the same group of players, same volunteers as Teesside did. And
then after that, you didn't just stop creating new clubs, but you then started the futsal shop as well. So you're a bit of an entrepreneur in futsal. Tell us about your experiences with the futsal shop, and what sort of advice would you give to anyone that tries to enter the futsal market as some sort of business person?
Well, the futsal shop was born out of, firstly, just being involved in the sport. People just come to you and say, Damon, where can I get some trainers? Where can I get balls? Mm-hmm. And there's not that many places, to be honest. So we saw a market. We saw an opportunity to bring those products over to England, because there's not many English brands that make them. So yeah, we saw that opportunity, and we also thought, well, if all these futsal players are buying trainers, buying balls, spending money on futsal, where's this money going? So by doing that and creating a dedicated futsal shop, we can keep the money in futsal, and ProDirect aren't necessarily going to sponsor futsal teams, but if we get all or a majority of the market of players buying futsal trainers from us, then we definitely are going to sponsor futsal teams. It's what we're here for. It's not, it'd be nice to make an extra second wage out of it, but it's not the aim. The aim is to keep the money in futsal and create jobs, create sponsorships, create funds, for the game to grow in England.
Good, and that's what we need. We need collective bargaining. We need people to work together really to help develop futsal. So good initiative by the futsal shop. But then after that, you then went on another journey, and you went to Spain, which kind of inspired me a little bit, actually, if I'm honest, Damon. What was Spain like? Ultimately, how did you manage to find work with such a high-profile club like Marfil Santi Coloma, which is obviously one of the top clubs in Spain and arguably the second best club in Barcelona. I mean, how did with all due respect, an English person go to Spain and find such a high-profile club when there's lots of, very highly qualified Spanish coaches? I mean, talk us through your journey.
Yeah, I thought that myself as well. It was tough. There were definitely some obstacles in that. I mean, when I started in futsal, I knew Spain was the place to be, or Brazil, and I'd always wanted to go and have an experience in one of these countries. Spain won out of Brazil just for their closeness, and I had friends in Barcelona. But my journey started in 2008. Well, 2007 actually, pretty much when Middlesbrough started. We played in a tournament with Sporting Lisbon, FC Barcelona, and one other local team, which I can't remember, Lords FC or something, the team that hosted it. And at that point, we made friends with the then Barca B coach, Alberto Adamoth. And a few months later, I contacted him and asked if I can go and visit the club and see some training. And he said yes with open arms. And I went down to see B team training at Barca. This was before they were a big thing. I managed to go and see first team training with Mark Carmona. That's where I met him.
Who's coming down, by the way? Who's coming down to England soon? For those that are listening, get in touch with Damon Shaw with regards to that.
12th to the 14th of May is coming over. So I met him 10 years ago at this little. I went for a week to Barcelona. I saw them training. I saw Javi Rodriguez, Fernandao. These players had just signed, and this was just when Barca were about to embark on their sort of 10 years of dominance. So that's where it all started. So I had contacts in Barcelona, and then I'd always wanted to go back out there. I love the city. So it just came at the right time. 2013, it was Fernandao who actually approached me and said, do you still want to come to work in Spain? And his idea was to have an English speaker in his club that he'd just taken over, to increase the increase the intake of kids that want to come and do futsal but also learn English. So it was Fernandao who got me the opportunity. So I went over there and worked for his club. That was in my first year in Spain. And then just from there, I made contacts. I did the coaching courses. You meet all the other coaches. You go and watch futsal. You meet people. And then in my second season in Spain, I went to Hospitalet Belsport, also another club that I knew from my Middlesbrough days because we came to the tour in Spain. We played against them, so they gave me a chance with their under-18s B, and that was in the bottom league in Spain. It was in the 5th division in Catalonia. So I had a season managing that team, which is really good. I learned so much, not just the language, but also dealing with teenagers and being an English coach in Spain. That season was really tough because an Englishman doesn't have respect in Spain in terms of coaching.
Yeah, I would have imagined so. I mean, with all due respect, I mean England. Who are England in the eyes of Spain? I mean, if you think about it logically, I mean, with all due respect.
That was really, I did have some issues with earning the players' respect at first, and it really took time to sort of get into that team and and really change things. And actually, we had a decent season, not the best, but we didn't have the best players. To be honest, it was a B team of an under-18s team, so we were just quite an inclusive club, an inclusive team.
I see.
But yeah, we did okay. We finished higher than that team had finished ever before, and I think we finished 7th. We were almost top at Christmas, so there were some very positive points, and we finished on a high, beating our local rivals in the derby, with the police having to be called actually because the crowd got a bit feisty.
Cool.
So that was a really good experience. But during that season, I was going to Marfield Santa Coloma quite a lot and watching their trainings, meeting their coaches, and generally learning from that club. And then the opportunity came about to work in their under-14s. So I'd always wanted to work in one of those clubs, Barca or Marfield, which is now Catgas. We should probably call them Catgas, given that's their sponsor now. And yeah, that opportunity came about, and I ended up working with a friend of mine, Edu. He was the first coach, I was the second coach, and that year with that club was amazing. It really was. the players even at 13, 14 were super competitive. They were highly talented. It was such a good year, and Edu was such a good coach to work with. I knew him from my UEFA B coaching course, so I didn't know him well, but I got to know him, and he became a good friend and mentor for me.
Okay, you mentioned a point in the beginning of your answer that you did some of your coaching badges out in Spain. I mean, how does the coach education in Spain compare to the coach education for aspiring futsal coaches in the UK?
It's very different, really very different. I made the mistake at first of comparing the English level 1 with the Spanish level 1. Now that's not a fair comparison, because the English level 1 and level 2 isn't the Spanish level 1, which is actually UEFA B, so the names are quite confusing. But for example, doing the first course over there is the monitor course, which could be likened to the level 1, level 2. But it was 48 hours, that course, and that covered everything from psychology, goalkeeping, laws of the game, technique, tactics, age-appropriate stuff. It was
right, okay.
It was quite in-depth for just what you could consider the equivalent of level 1, level 2 here.
Yeah.
So I did that course first, just over 12 weeks. Again, it was all in Spanish. That was 2 months after I'd been there. I started that course, so it was quite tough, but it was a really good sort of opportunity to learn my Spanish as well.
Mm-hmm.
And then the next summer, I did my UEFA B, it was an intense course over 6 weeks, 6 hours a day. It was very intense, but again, my Spanish improved no end by doing that. And the main difference is sort of the amount of detail they give you. Especially when you're talking tactics and technique, probably more so tactics. They really give you answers. They give you tools to go away with and design your sessions rather than just. Well, in England, I think the coaching courses. I was recently sitting in on level 2. They give you a book of 18 games, which is all well and good, but you don't get much theory behind it. You don't get much
futsal behind it.
Yeah, you don't get much of that, to be honest. Maybe on the UEFA B, and I know they're trying to improve things. So hopefully that will come. We are a long way behind Spain. But the difference is in Spain, you come away from that course knowing how to coach team and knowing how to design sessions to coach the team.
Good. And I mean, obviously, you started at Teesside, then created Middlesbrough, started the futsal shop, then you went off to Spain, and now you're part of another very, very exciting project, and that's Tranmere Rovers project. I mean, tell us a little bit more about that and what the ambitions of the club. What are Tranmere's ambitions for futsal?
Yeah, this all came about with just a few tweets, to be honest. I saw that Tranmere Rovers had decided to enter a team into the National League. Now, I knew Tranmere were running some futsal leagues or something like that. I didn't really pay too much attention to it, but I knew it was there. I knew it existed. And then I saw some news that they signed Ed Bryers and they were putting a team into the National League. Mm-hmm. I just started tweeting about it and saying this is really good. This is what England needs. Especially there were some quotes from Nicola Palace in the article, and it was great that a club from the top were backing something like this, and yeah. I was fully behind the project. It sounded really good and what England needed, and just tweeting away about that. That's when Nicola Palace found us on Twitter. We started a conversation there, and it came out of that really. And yeah, we had a conversation. It was about half an hour conversation on the phone, and she sold me the project. She sold me the fact that they wanted to make it something big. And yeah, just day-to-day chatting with Mark and Nicola, they want Tranmere Rovers to be synonymous with futsal.
Oh, really? Okay. So synonymous with futsal and not football, because they've obviously got a big football tradition.
Yeah, it's a big club. It's in the conference at the minute, but I don't think that's the natural place for this club, and hopefully in the next couple of seasons we'll be climbing back up the leagues. But yeah, Mark wants Tranmere to be synonymous with futsal.
Oh wow, okay.
Just in case in the sense of being the leaders, being up there with the top teams in the country, and even in Europe. I talked to him a lot about Barcelona in my time there, and he would love us to be something along the lines of what Barcelona are.
Good, decent. All right, very, very interesting. I mean, obviously, you're back in England now, and you're able to see, the behaviour and the practices of players during training. And I mean, how does the way futsal is consumed and how futsal is delivered in the UK differ from how it's delivered and consumed in Spain? If that makes sense. I mean, what's the difference? I mean, it may seem obvious for some, but we've got some, people that have just started taking up futsal very recently, and they're not too familiar with the major differences of how futsal is viewed in the UK and Spain. I mean, what are the major differences of how people approach futsal in Spain as to how they approach futsal in the UK, Damon?
I just don't think in England it's taken seriously enough by everybody across the board. So right from the top, I think the guys running the league at the FA, they take it seriously. They want it to be something important. But they're not the guys at the top. It's the guys at the FA. Do they take it seriously? Probably not. But I think there's a division. I think there's a power struggle within the FA with regards to futsal. Actually, I spoke to a couple of people from the FA that are not part of the futsal committee that we know that would be behind futsal. But then, it's a bit dodgy for me to say this. I won't reveal the person's name. But he also says there are other people within the FA that think it's a gimmick. I think it simply doesn't work. And so I think there's a power struggle within the FA, if I'm honest. I just think it comes down to it isn't taken seriously as a sport. People don't see it as another sport. They see it as a developmental football.
And what do you think of that? What do you think of that? That's a good question. What do you think of that? Is it a developmental for football? That is a great question.
Oh, do I have to get into this? Yeah, yes and no. Yes and no. I think futsal done properly, with proper futsal clubs playing in proper leagues, with proper coaches, will benefit long-term football.
Correct, yeah.
I don't think futsal once a week will benefit your football team immensely.
Yeah.
It will have its benefits. It's an extra training session. It's a lot more touch on the ball. But I don't think that's the answer to... I don't think that for me isn't developmental for football. Futsal done properly, really properly, with a good structure, a good league, kids training 2 or 3 times a week, playing matches every week. That will create a culture of kids that have intelligence and tactics and technique, and that will then benefit football without a doubt. But I think we also need that structure and that competitiveness and that culture in football as well. So it can be a benefit to football. Definitely is. There's no doubt about that. But done properly. I think too many people just put a futsal ball in a group of players and say, yeah, they're going to be Messi, Neymar.
Yeah, which is a very, very, very dangerous thing to do.
It is, and that's probably damaged futsal quite a lot in this country, whereas people now just see it as that, and it's very difficult to sort of turn people's opinions on that.
Mm-hmm.
In England, I just don't think it's taken seriously because of that. In Spain, a kid of 5-year-old says to his mum, or his mum says to the kid, "Okay, we're gonna join you a club. We're gonna find a club for you to play, to do a sport. What do you want to do?" And that kid can choose football, futsal, basketball, hockey, judo, swimming, whatever. He can choose his sport, and futsal is a viable option for him to choose.
Yeah.
Go and join that club, and he'll get all the training he needs. He'll get 3 sessions a week, 2-3 sessions a week, a match in futsal.
Yeah, possibility to prosper into university in the future. Also, play professionally. There's various options as well.
It comes from the top down as well, because in Spain they see the players, they see futsal matches on TV. They go to futsal matches in big stadiums, and players play futsal because they want to be a futsal player.
Yeah.
Simple as that. And that's the big difference, I think, and that's.
So we need futsal for futsal. That's what you're saying. In order to create football players, you need futsal for futsal.
But futsal for football will dilute everything. I think
does futsal for football really exist, Damon? Because I mean, we won't spend too much time on this topic because it's been discussed in previous podcasts. But I mean, Brazil, for example. I mean, I have a Brazilian background. I spent 5 years in Brazil. My parents are Brazilians. I mean, the Neymars of this world, the Ronaldinhos of this world, the Robinhos of this world that are Felipe Coutinho and the other players that have played futsal in the past, they trained futsal to play futsal, if that makes sense. They never trained futsal to play football. So I know you've just said it. So, but are you trying to say it's futsal for futsal that we should focus on? It does help develop football players, but you need to train futsal players for futsal.
If you do that, and if you're a football club and you train your football players from the youngest ages, and you train them properly in futsal, with the view of them being football players in the future, yeah, that'll work. But I think the training's got to be good. The training's got to be proper coaches, proper respect to the game of futsal. And I think that's how it works in Brazil. I'm not too clued up on the system in Brazil. I'd like to get to know more about it, but for now I don't. I think the football teams in Brazil do use it for that.
They do, yeah.
So they're perhaps an under-8 team at Santos, for example, in the football club. They're into a futsal league. They train futsal.
Yeah, they do. So they play both essentially, but they train futsal to play futsal. Obviously, if that makes sense.
Yes, I don't think training on a Monday in futsal to later go to grass on a Saturday
makes no sense.
Really, you might see some benefits, but I don't think that's like me training basketball on a Thursday to then go and play futsal on a Sunday.
Yeah, or
it's
netball.
not quite that extreme, but it's the same sort of idea. For me, I think you need to train with the same balls you're going to be playing with on a Sunday.
Absolutely.
And so if I was a football coach, I wouldn't dream of putting in futsal sessions the week before a game. I just don't think I'd do it. Yeah. There may be benefits to it. Some coaches will like it. But for me, it's not the way I'd do it.
I see. And I mean, Super League next year, Damon. Obviously, a lot of talk about there being a merge. I mean, an email's come out today, inviting some clubs to have an interview with, the FA to be in the Super League next year. So it looks very likely that there will be a Super League merge next year. I mean, should Tranmere be in the Super League? And on the back of that, what should the criteria be for the clubs entering this newly merged Super League, in your opinion?
Okay, so you're asking should there be a merge?
No. So there's likely to be a merge. I'm asking if Tranmere should be in the merged Super League, and what should be the criteria? Sorry?
At the start of this season, when the handbook came out with the FA, the plan was for next season to go national. I believe that's always been the plan. And there has been discussions about it, the FA and clubs, but I think the decision will be that there'll be a Super League next year. Should Tranmere be in it? We want to be in it. We definitely want to be in the Super League. Whether that's next season or the season after or a couple of seasons later, but the ambition of the club is to be the top team. So should we be in it? That's up to the FA to decide. And are we within the 12 top teams in the country to deserve a place? I'd like to think so, but
how do you define 12 top? I mean, is it just based on performance, or is it based on other criteria?
Performance is important, and I was under the impression that there were going to be some sort of playoffs to get into the Super League next season. As it happens, it seems like it's going to be an accreditation process, an interview process, and I'm all for earning your place in the Super League on the pitch. So yeah, should we be in it? I'd like to win a place. If the FA invite us into it, we're not going to say no. So should we be in it? Let's wait and see. Now, I think we've got the structure, we've got the backing, we've got the quality, we've got the support. I think we've got everything to be a Super League team. It's not my decision at the end of the day, but I believe we're one of the top teams, top clubs in the country. So yeah, in that sense, I could be saying yes, we should be in it. But again, there's probably other clubs out there that think the same as well. So yeah, and if someone said to me we need to earn that place in the Super League via playoffs or whatever, then I'm all for that.
Perfect, gotcha. And I mean, obviously, you have the perspective of a coach. A lot of people have spoken about the appointment of Michael Skubala as the elite performance development manager, and pretty much 25% of that role means that he is the England head coach as well. Yep. I mean, what are your thoughts on the appointment of Scoobs? I ask because obviously a lot of nations that have had success developing futsal have historically opened their doors to foreign expertise, and you've obviously lived abroad, probably the best place to learn futsal in the world. So what do you think of this appointment?
I think it's the natural choice. I believe they had some high-profile applicants, but I also think it's important to know the English game.
Mm-hmm.
I'm saying that because I don't think a foreign person could really have done the Tranmere job. I think it's going well so far. So I don't think someone coming from Spain without the knowledge of the English game could have done and built such a good project in such a short space of time. So I understand why they didn't want to go foreign.
Mm-hmm.
If it was simply a head coach role, a manager's job, then I believe it should have gone to a foreign person. But the role as a whole, I think Scoobs is the best person for it. He knows the setup, he knows the players, but also I think he needs to be accountable. So I think he needs to be judged on results he gets in the next 3-4 years, however long he's there for. But with the fact that they put it out there and advertised the job and did look around for the right person, then I think that's a good step. And I think maybe the next time there's a change in that position, then maybe they get someone that I think, let's say, some people want, that being that foreign coach or not.
Okay, thanks, sir. And the final question, Damon, and it's a bit of a tricky question, but I mean, what could futsal in England learn from futsal in Spain, essentially? I mean, what can we learn from the Spanish?
Now, Spain's 20 odd years ahead of us, so it is a great place to learn from. It is a place to not just copy. You can't just copy and paste,
mm-hmm.
but you certainly can take a lot from Spain. And now, I think their league went national 25 years ago, and at that point, all the coaches for those teams came together and designed the level 1 coaching course, which is the UEFA B.
Okay.
And all the coaches in that league had a vested interest to improve the game.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's going to be one of the big things. So if it does go national next year, all the coaches in that league, all the clubs in that league have a massive responsibility to push the game forward.
You're talking about our league, right?
Yeah, the English National League. The Super League, as it will likely be.
Mm-hmm.
I think all the coaches, all the chairmen of the clubs in that league have a massive responsibility to the sport, whether that's helping with coach education, helping with promoting the league, helping with increasing the standards, but working together. We'll be rivals on the pitch.
Yeah.
But I think there's going to be a massive responsibility for the people involved in those teams to work together to really make futsal something serious in England. And then those clubs, talking about that, we're looking at those clubs need to come together and develop the youth, develop youth teams, develop coaches, and everyone needs to have a commitment to doing that. So I think that's one of the important things to being invited into the Super League as well. I think clubs have to have a vested interest in the growth of the game, because I think that's vital. That could also mean all these clubs coming together and approaching a TV company. The league might not be able to do that, they might, but the clubs have to really come together. I think that's probably one of the big things we can take from Spain.
Okay. All right. So would you suggest the creation of a union then? Coaches union or a players union or a teams union or?
Possibly. I think the fact that there'd be 12 teams, you could up that to 40 through all the teams in the whole league. The fact that you're in a league, you are in a union as such anyway. So
mm-hmm.
Just those coming together regularly, having regular conversations, sharing best practices. That's something the FA should lead on. If they don't, then the clubs I think probably should do that themselves. But hopefully the FA do lead on that and, really help the clubs, help the game.
Great. And are there any final comments that you wish to make? Anything that you're passionate about and that you just wish to tell the futsal stakeholders and people that are listening to this podcast?
No, again, just going back to the working together, we really do need to do things together. I think in the past, there's been a lot of people working in solo and trying to do things on their own, myself included. I think what it needs is a real community spirit to make England one of the best countries in the world, because it definitely has the potential. It definitely has the amount of players that love football, that want to play football. Mm-hmm. Even now, at this age, I think we've got the technical ability in players. What I don't think we have at the minute is tactical knowledge and decision making and stuff.
Yeah, we also have a lot of people dropping out of the sports development continuum. From football. I mean, once they reach 16 or 17 or 18, a lot of them stop playing football. So there's plenty of players that we can attract to play futsal. It's just
such a big population.
Exactly. Yeah. Just needs a strategy behind it, really.
It can be a world leader in futsal. I've no doubts about that, and that's something we all need to do together.
Yeah.
Everybody, from the guys running websites like yourselves, with regular podcasts, the futsal show.
The futsal show.
All these people have a vested interest in growing the game, and we need to work together.
Decent. Oh, Damon, thank you very, very much for joining us on the podcast. Guys, if you're listening, make sure you follow Tranmere on Facebook, on social media. If you live in the area, go and watch their games. Get in touch with Damon. And also, if you haven't already liked The Daily Futsal yet, please do so. The Daily Futsal on Facebook. We've got a black and yellow logo. Should be easy to spot. At The Daily Futsal on Twitter. That's capital T, capital D, capital F. And also on Instagram, it's just The Daily Futsal. Damon, thank you very much for taking part.
You're welcome. Thanks for having me. And great work with the blog. It's something that we need. I've seen a lot of these come and go, so hopefully this one's one that's going to stick around and be with us for a long time.
Yeah, no, there's three of us behind TDF, so it should be sustainable. It's not a one-man job. So we all give each other responsibility. So hopefully it's here to stay.
Nice one.
Cheers.
Speak to you soon.
Thank you.